Hello everyone, nice to see you all here. And my name is Ruishang Li. I'm a first-year PhD student in biomedical engineering in Brown University. I'm working in BrainGate Lab, which focuses on brain-computer interface, and my current research is on applying deep learning methods to derive some novel algorithms for decoding brain signals. So today our focus will be on section 2, PyTorch AutoGrad. But before diving into AutoGrad, let's give a short recap of what we already captured in section 1.3. So here we talk about two very important concepts, backpropagation and computational graph. And this is an important point I want to emphasize here, which is usually when we're talking about backpropagation, we are neglecting the importance of forward pass. But backprop cannot happen if there is no forward pass, because during the forward pass, as shown here in the computational graph, we calculate and store this or intermediate values and A, B, C, D, E, and then during the back propagation process, as we're calculating all these subcomponent derivatives, stacking them, multiplying them all out by chain rule, each of them is easily calculated here because we've already stored E, D, Z, B, for example. Uh, so just remember, forward and backward, they are kind of paired with each other all the time. So then you may also wonder the question, well, even for this simple nonlinear function, right? We spend a lot of time deriving the forward and backward pass, constructing the computational graph, and even calculating this analytical form of the derivative. But for real world situations where we have uh, hundreds of and thousands of layers, millions of and trillions of parameters, this manual ways just didn't work out. So that brings us naturally to the idea of automatic differentiation, which simply means the same thing as we did for this whole example, but in a more computationally efficient way applied for much more complex functions. And as the name suggests, it's automatic, which means we don't have to, on our own, manually encode all the structures, all the processes. Everything is handled by the simple line calling the automatic differentiation function. And in different packages, calling automatic differentiation is by different methods. So for PyTorch, it's by something called AutoGrad. So to see how AutoGrad works, what we're going to do now is, for this toy example, we're going to first construct manually a computational graph, do the forward and backward pass, calculate the derivative, and compare that with the actual result of PyTorch AutoGrad. So to capture the structure of the figure, we use a class simple graph and there are two functions inside it. First of all, there's a initialization of both parameters, the weight W and the bias B. And the only thing I want to emphasize here is please remember to specify requires grad equal to true, because for torch.tensor specified this way, the default mode is requires grad equal to false. That means PyTorch is not gonna take care of, it's not gonna store the intermediate gradients, and then back probably is just not gonna work. And then for forward function, which is given the input x, what is the output y based on our model with all the parameters specified in the initialization process. And looking at the figure is pretty simple. First, we have this linear transformation of x, and then we apply nonlinear tanh upon it. So what we're going to do here is, well, prediction is equal to first a linear transform, which is a self-dot weights multiplied by x plus the bias, and then we're going to apply a nonlinear function, which is here a tanh upon it. So that gives us the prediction. But remember, this prediction is the predicted y. It's not the loss itself. The loss is captured by this function, which is outside the class of simple graph. So given the true label y and the predicted y, our loss is simply calculated by the difference between the two to the power of 2. That's the square loss. And now we can just comment all the rays and uncomment this part to run the code. Yeah, let's run it. Here we go. So now we have this weights and bias specified in these values. Given the input x equal to 1, the output and true output y, our predicted is 0 and the square loss is 49. So something I want to emphasize here is, well, first, please make sure that the type of the prediction does match the specification, which is a torch.tensor here. And then secondly, for people who are interested, think about what changes you can make or you should make if the x is not a a scalar. It's like it's a vector, and here naturally the W will be correspondingly a matrix. What changes will we make for this multiplication sign, and what should you do to make sure that the dimensionality is correct after this vector matrix vector multiplication?